Hello and welcome back to my channel, everybody. Today we've got a new lesson on how to properly complete the dimensioning for the counterweight as a part of the orthographic drawing problems module found in the hub. So let's take a quick look at how these dimensions appear on the drawing problem handout. And I'm not going to go over the list in detail right now. I am going to mention that, there's some obvious things that are wrong here. We got some dimensions that are sitting on the part, like the 10, 27.5, and the 25. And some of the dimensions are in a very good position, and some of them are not. So I'm going to be maintaining some of these dimensions, but also cleaning some of them up as per the rule and procedures list that I've gone over in the previous video for the control bearing. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to click over into my counterweight, which I completed a while ago. I have the orthographic drawing problem note or handout from the hub on my iPad next to me so I can refer to it as I complete the work. So to get started, I'm going to begin with the front view. I'm going to start by placing a linear dimension from here to here. So I'm going to snap that one in line and come out 12 millimeters. And also, right click, repeat dim linear, pan down, go endpoint to endpoint, and snap that 10 dimension in line with the 27.5. Now look at the issue I have here. The 10 doesn't want to fit inside here and it's sticking out of the border, so I can easily fix this. I can just use a grip, select it, and bring it inside like this. Now this isn't wanting to work so well, is it? So I'm going to go into my object snap settings, make sure midpoint is turned on, which it wasn't, hit OK, and I'm going to try this again. There. Okay, the only thing I have to do now is just grip this to this endpoint and get those arrows to line up, and we're done. Okay, so I've got those off the part on a profile, which is what we want. We're going to move on now, and we're also going to dimension the depth of the slot, which is the 12. We're going to go endpoint to endpoint, snap that dimension in line, and then use a grip, and we're going to pull it out 12 millimeters, just like that. Okay, what else do I have to do? I think I'm gonna stop with the front view for now. I'm gonna go up to the top view, run some dimensions there, and there is a 16 dimension here and here. I can definitely place those dimensions on the part, so I can use a linear dimension, go endpoint to endpoint. And it's the same routine that you're used to. 12 millimeter extension. And I can click these two endpoints and then snap to this endpoint to automatically grab my spacing. Now there's two ways to do this. I could leave it like this, or I could chain up a dimension here, but I'll have to drop one of the 16s because like I've mentioned in the previous lesson with the control bearing, you can't have a complete width or length with a bunch of chain dimensions from one side to the other. We always have to leave one out of a chain link. So I'm going to place a dimension here to here. There's my 22, right? So this is considered over dimensioning, right? This is what this looks like because this all adds up to 54 and we basically need just an overall width dimension for that. And I'm going to have to put that, over on the right side view or maybe outside here on the top view. So I think what I'm going to do is, because this dimension, I don't want to see the 16 twice, I think I'll drop this dimension here. All right, and that looks better to me. I know that this is 16, this is 22, and then we're going to assume that that is 16 as well, but the overall dimension will be on the right side of the top view or above on the right side view. So we'll do that one later. The 26 dimension, this is the exact position it's listed on the problem sheet. I agree with its location. I'm going to put it in the same position. Have it come 12 millimeters above. And the 70 dimension, it's shown on the orthographic drawing problem handout as being in this position. Of course, this isn't going to fit. And I prefer to place it on the the front view, because that is the profile, right? Again, the top view, this line is the only line that really indicates that the surface changes to an angular surface on the top view. We clearly see the angular surface here, so this is the best spot to place that 70 dimension where we have the profile view. So linear dimension, click, endpoint to endpoint, snap in line, and 12 millimeters out. They also list a 62 dimension. Snap that one in line. Now, is that correct, what I've done? Think about it for a moment. No, if you thought it's not correct, you were right, because I have to drop this dimension or this dimension, but I'll drop the 62 because, again, this is going to be too much dimensioning. We have to include an overall length. If I add these two numbers up, I'm going to get the overall length. I have to leave one out of a chain. So I have to leave, there's two in a chain from one side to the other. We're going to drop the 62. So that's the one I'm going to get rid of. So that was over dimensioning, which we never want to do. So moving on, what do we have to, what is left here? We have to show the 25 dimension. $12 away. No, this is wrong, what I've just done. Right? This is incorrect. We can never, ever run a dimension to a hidden detail line. And that's exactly what this is. So again, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, a visual aid is better than hearing it. This is totally wrong. This dimension has to be shown up above on the front, on the top view. So it would be run like this. 25, and then again we grip it out. Try to keep these dimensions outside the views when possible. Okay, so this one is wrong, so we're going to delete or erase that one. And what's left? We have the 12, the 30, and the 54. They're shown in the top view orientation here on the orthographic drawing problem handout sheet, and I agree with their placement. I think that's those are the best. That's the best position for those dimensions because they're attached to a profile view here, so I'm going to run those dimensions the same. So from here to here. And we also have, we'll right click, left click, repeat dim linear, this endpoint to this endpoint, snap that 30 in line. And we also have the 54 dimension. We can place that dimension here, or we can place it on the right side view. Let's place it twice, and then we'll get rid of one later, because that would be over dimensioning. So endpoint to endpoint, snap in line with these first dimensions. Grab this one with a grip at the arrow leader and grab it at the value, come out 10. All right, that's the way it looks on the sheet, which is correct, actually. Let's run that dimension again here. And this time I can just, again, come over to the 70 and use that endpoint, so I don't have to actually snap to the part and grip out. I can use this dimension as a reference to maintain my 12 millimeter distance, which we see here if I prove it to you with a measurement. All right, so keeping in mind, the 54 is listed twice. That is wrong. I'm going to have to get rid of one of them later. So that's going to be one of my tasks that I have to do before I end this lesson. We also see a 21 dimension, which is the height of this surface here and this surface. Where would be the best spot to place that dimension? Could I place it here or here? Let's run it twice and examine. So I try to keep these things outside the views. 12 millimeters away. I'll run it on this side too. I'm going to be doing this one a little overkill. And then lastly, I could place it here. So there's 3 possible locations that this 21 could go. But I only have to show it once. Just because I can show it in multiple views doesn't mean I want to do that. It's going to be too much dimensioning. So there's 3 of them. I can only have one in the end. I aim to keep dimensions from between views when possible. So I have the 21 listed twice. So this one is between 2 views. And it's at no advantage to being any different from this 21 dimension the way it's shown. So logic tells me the first one I need to get rid of that would be incorrect would be this one. Because again, it's the same thing. It's better to keep dimensions from being in between views when I can get away with it. So this one is not as good as this one, so I'm going to delete this one and erase it. So now I'm down to 2. I can either keep this one or this one. Now let's consider this. We want to keep dimensions from between views when possible. I've mentioned this before. But we also want to dimension to a profile view when possible. And we're not really getting a profile view on the right side view. We're just getting a perspective of 2D flat surface. I believe this dimension is easier to understand on the front view, where we see that profile. So running dimensions between views is something we want to avoid, but again, we've done it here. And if we can get away with it and it explains the drawing dimensioning scheme better understood, we can get away with it. So we are at an advantage actually to have this dimension here, even though it's between 2 views. So I'm deciding to drop the 21 from here. And to me, that is correct. Again, everything I'm discussing in this lesson corresponds with the basic dimensioning rules for orthographic drawings note in the hub. So again, you should consult that list as you're completing the dimensions because you should be getting the same results as I am. Your dimensioning might be slightly different than mine, but it should be extremely close. Meaning you may have decided not to have the 22 dimension, you may have decided to keep the 16 here instead, and then your decision on where the 54 dimension will sit, either here or here, because I've said both are correct, but I really need to only have one of them. So let's make sure I have everything. I'm going to consult the image again. And to me, it looks like I have all the dimensions that I need. The only thing that I'm lacking in is an overall dimension. And I have the overall width, which is here and here. So I need to have an overall thickness, which is not seen. This dimension for overall thickness and length is not shown here, right? This is something that is typically not done. We do see the 47.5, right? This dimension still needs to be added, but I have all the other ones, if you see here. So that 47.5 dimension, I have no room for it here. There's no reason for me to crowd a dimension between views if it's just an overall, so I'm going to place it here, out of the way, on the right side of the right side view. Let's snap that there, come out 12. Look, it fits in the border, so it's good. And then lastly, I need an overall, I require an overall length. Where am I going to put that? I'm not going to have room for it up here. It's going to be too crowded. I could place that dimension underneath here. And it looks like I'm not going to have room for it at the bottom here either. So there's a couple of options I can think of here. So let's see what this looks like. What if I was to run the dimension on the top view? 132. So we'll come down 12 millimeters. And I think that would be acceptable. We are running out of room, by the way, right? You know, the drawing space is filling up with dimensions. The first dimension's got to be 12 millimeters away. If I was to measure from here to here, I get 16 millimeters. So there is enough of a gap to make that legal, and it is okay. But in terms of appearance, I might want to make a change here. I might want to take that 12 dimension and move it to where the 70 is, and then move the 70 up another 10. I'm going to see what that looks like. So I'm going to erase this dimension, and I know I have to move this 70 up more to accommodate that. So I'm going to move this up, grip it up 10 millimeters, like that. Don't mean to delete it. And then this 12 dimension I'm going to erase, and I'm going to rerun that 12 dimension here. I'm going to come up 12. Okay, let's see what that looks like. And then I just need to rerun that overall. I might do it down here. Now I have room for it. So I'm going to snap it to here, come down 12. And I need to place all of these dimensions on the dimension layer. Select. Okay, we're going up to layers. We're putting them on dimensions. So they all appear red, and we'll go lighter in contrast. So when I look at this, I think I like the look of this better, actually. Again, it's personal preference. I could have left it the way it was and it still would have been correct. But I'm just doing some different things here and showing you some different options to show you that it doesn't necessarily need to look exactly like mine to be correct. I'm still following the rules of dimensions. I still need to, work with the space I have. There's only 40 millimeters between views, so I only have so much space that I can put dimensions between views. So that's why I try to avoid it when I can, unless there's an advantage. And all these dimensions, the 12, the 70, the 21, they're dimensioned to a profile view, the same as you see the 26, 22, and 16, 25, 30, 12, and 54. Now, the last thing I need to do, or one of the last things I need to do, is drop the 54 dimension from here or from here. And I've decided that I'm going to drop it from the top view. And the only reason I'm really going to do that is because I've got a lot of dimensions on the top view already, and it might be nice to space it out and just have two of them here on the right side view, right? Instead of just having one dimension here and having the 54 up here. It's the same information. There's no greater advantage to showing it on the top view or the right side view. So I'll erase it from the top view. And that kind of spreads the dimensions out a little better. And now that follows the note perfectly. That's the way that should look, or very close to it. You can make some of your own minor changes as long as you're following the basic dimensioning rule list. So before we end this video, we need to fill the title block in. So all caps, counterweight. Like before, it doesn't fit on one line, so we'll just pull that arrow until it does, and then we'll let go and left click. And then we just need to center this. So we're going to select it, we're going to use the move tool and modify, and we're just going to move it till it looks as centered. This could be eyeball, doesn't have to be perfect, but somewhere around here looks like it's nicely centered. Like that. Next, drawn by. You know the routine. Date. Today is the 3rd month, the 23rd day, and the 21st year. Scale. 1 to 1. The scale looks like it's centered. I don't need to modify it or edit it. I'm going to leave it like that. Same with my date and name. It's very well centered. If your name doesn't fit centered, use the move tool and center it to be a little nicer. And then lastly, drawing number for this one is 101-05, because this is our 5th drawing. And that is how I see this drawing through to completeness. So all I need to do is save it. I'm going to be opening up an assignment folder Dropbox in the hub for you to submit it. Again, any questions, comments, concerns, please get a hold of me, and I'll be happy to answer your questions and help you out. Thank you, and have a great day.